What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. I just recorded this whole video and I forgot to click the record button, so it's crazy. So we're going to go through all of this again, but we have the information and the data download for the Legend Jack Sugafest batch. And of course, I just uploaded my previous video talking about Legend Jack in all of his glory and seeing what he's capable of doing. So if you guys want to see the details in regards to what Legend Jack is capable of doing, check out my previous video because you'll see more details about it there. We're not talking about Jack in this video. We're just going to be talking about his batch and also the Sugafest itself. So the banner is going live April 28th at 1900 PST time. The day after, you're going to have the part 2, and then the day after that, on the 30th, you've got part 3 with Legend Killer part 2, Legend Hawkins part 3. Even though those two characters are there, and this may seem exciting for some people out there, we already know anniversary is on May 12th. There's going to be big celebratory events, characters, stuff you want to be waiting for. So I advise strongly to avoid this banner. I do not think it's a very wise decision to waste your gems here, especially when you have a look at what the steps provide you. Part 1 specifically does not have much in store. You've got the 4th multi for a legend, 8th for a limited pull, and of course it will cycle all the way to the 25th step where you're not even guaranteed to get Jack on part 1. You don't get Jack until part 2, the 30th freaking multi, yo. Yeah, so definitely don't spend your gems here. There's like really not much reason to do that. Even if the boosted list is crazy, it's really not a good idea to do it, right? So that's all I really wanted to touch up on in terms of the banner. Like, it's a very generic banner. You know, Jack is going to be available in red tickets moving forward once his banner does conclude. So that's not going to be that far away. You know, about a month he'll start be available in legend tickets, and he should be boosted on further banners, which will allow you to potentially pull him in the future. So don't stress too much if you don't get him now. But either way, let's talk about the new rare recruits that are going to be in this batch. The first one being page 1. And yeah, this is not a very good rare recruit, I gotta say. So his int driven powerhouse captain ability really does not matter, but then the special ability, it reduces the crew's cooldown by 1. It then reduces the crew's bind duration by 5 turns, which I thought was kind of weird because Legend Jack himself already removes bind with his special, so I don't understand why this character also does it. Then it says if the crew has a chain lock when you launch the special, he extends the duration of it by 1 and then further buffs the chain lock by 0.3. Otherwise, you get a 3.25 chain lock for 2 turns. And this is another thing. Legend Jack also does chain boundary, and then he says if you've already got a chain boundary or a chain lock, you then buff it. So this unit is basically like a worse version of Legend Jack. I literally don't know why this character exists, and I know they're going to make content focused around this unit, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense to release a character that does what he does alongside Legend Jack because the characters are very, very similar. Another thing about this character that's absolutely awful is his crewmate ability, because his crewmate ability to resist special reverse, it only works number 1 for the bottom row, and number 2, you have to fulfill the condition of having 6 driven characters on your crew. So I really don't understand the design philosophy behind this unit because they've done a terrible job with this unit. And then also just a base attack boosting other crewmate ability. And then his support effect, it only attaches to ulti, but then when you reach the final battle, then you remove -1 cooldown or -1 cooldown to the unit, and then remove 3 turns of special bind, which I believe is also for the unit. I believe that special bind removing component of his support is only for the character that he supports, not for the whole crew, because if it was for the whole crew, it'd be absolutely busted, and I just don't think that is what they're aiming to do with this unit. So overall, this might be one of the most lame rare recruits we've received in quite a while. We won't talk about Black Maria just yet, because she is kind of interesting, but then you look at the ulti side of things with her rare recruit. Again, captain ability doesn't really matter. Int driven powerhouse. Special ability, -1 cooldown once again, removing special bind this time by 5 turns, and if the crew has an attack buff and an orb buff when you launch the special, you buff the attack and orb boost by 0.2, otherwise, 2 times attack and orbs to int and driven for 1 turn. So, her special doesn't do a whole lot, -1 cooldown, special bind removal, attack and orb boost, but if you've already got one, you buff it by 0.2. So, overall, this doesn't really do a whole lot. It's fine. At least with her crewmate ability, she doesn't have any condition revolved around her special bind, thankfully. And then another attack boosting support. And well, her support effect here, it will only attach to page 1, and it does the exact same thing as what Rare Recruit page 1 does, attaching to ulti, where it's -1 cooldown, -3 special bind to the unit that they support. And that's it. So overall, the page 1 and ulti are kind of average in my opinion. They just seem kind of okay. However, things change drastically when we get to Black Maria, because this rare recruit might be one of my favorite rare recruits they've ever released, to be honest. So int-driven cerebral this time, and then her special, it applies poison, delay, ignited status, and paralysis status to all enemies for 1 turn. So the burn is 30 times their attack, and the paralysis is a 30% chance to stop their attack. But the fact that this unit, one unit by herself, that can provide all of these different debuffs to one unit is just so crazy to think about. Furthermore, it will go ahead and change type slots and block slots into matching. It then reduces despair and paralysis by 5 turns. And int and driven get a 1.75 color affinity for 1 turn. And give them an 800 base attack boost for 1 turn. It's so wild when you have page 1 and an ulti, and then you have like this rare recruit that can just do all of this with 1 special launch. I love this unit. This unit is awesome, and I can definitely see this unit seeing lots and lots of play moving forward. So, you know, being able to apply all those debuffs, really good orb change, great utility, color affinity, base attack boost in 1 special launch is crazy. Also has fear resistance because, and then also has a crewmate ability to reduce their cooldown by 1 every time a driven unit uses a special, which is great. And then really unique crewmate ability here to remove 3 turns of poison when you're inflicted with it. This is really cool. We haven't seen a support or a crewmate ability, to my knowledge, that is able to remove poison. This is very, very unique. And, you know, we get that most times you're inflicted with poison, it typically is more than 3 turns, but still, the fact that this unit has that in general is just another piece of utility on top of it. This is a great, great unit. Unfortunately, the drawback is that she doesn't have a support effect, really. It's just side damage reduction and 5% base stats to the Toby Ropo. So pretty fair, honestly, because everything else that this unit does is incredible. So I think that's a pretty fair trade-off, all things considered. So you've got Legend Jack, who's pretty cool. Black Maria's pretty cool. But then ulti in page 1, pretty mediocre. And then, of course, we have the new Pirate Rumble banner that's going to be debuting. And this is going to be replacing, I believe, the Apu banner, right? So this is going to be going live on April 30th. And it is a strength-focused banner. And I am not really that excited about these units, to be honest. They're not that exciting at all. The steps for this banner, again, are pretty typical for a Rumble banner. You got a discount on the first multi. Then you've got just a special level max character, which again can be anything ranging from generic rare recruits to Rumble characters to legends. It can be anything, so don't really hope for too much here. The third multi gets you a legend, and then the fourth one is where you can finally get your first guaranteed Rumble character with a recommended on the 5th. And the big thing here, the only real character that it's recommended that I would say is actually good is King. The rare recruit Rumble King is very powerful. Otama is respectable, and then you've got like page 1 and ulti. Those 2 legends are okay. And then you've got the 2 new rare recruits that are debuting here. So as for what these characters are capable of doing, you've got these characters with Sasaki being strength, slasher, striker, and his Rumble ability is focused on boosting not only strength, but also striker at the same time. So I guess you can use him in 2 different scenarios, but I don't really like what they tried to do here, because he gives strength characters level 6 attack, and then strikers get level 6 speed, level 5 defense. Whereas I would kind of prefer it if it was like either apply all of these buffs to strength, or apply all of these buffs to striker. Like, don't mix and match. Or I mean, just say stuff it and just do strength and striker receive all of these buffs. I would be perfectly okay with that too, because Striker need buffs. Striker are one of the worst classes in Rumble specifically. They have some pretty good solo units, but the Striker team in general doesn't have a lot of synergy. Like, there's lots of good units on teams that are Striker, but they don't overall boost Striker. They don't have good synergy together, and that's what they really kind of need, but this unit doesn't help with that. A 33 CT special is pretty steep for a Rumble rare recruit, so it targets 3 enemies for 2 times attack 2 times, and then strength allies get level 6 guard percent up. For 33 CT for a Rumble rare recruit, I think this is pretty bad. I think this could definitely have a much lowered special CT timer. This should be around 27, 20, 28, something like that. That would be respectable, but 33 is a bit too much, considering you got like King, which is only a few seconds later and can do way more than what this unit can do. Either way, he does also have the ability to heal himself. He does have the ability to evade paralysis, but removing or evading paralysis in Rumble isn't that important, to be honest. So I'm not a big fan of this Sasaki. I think he is a pretty average Rumble rare recruit, to be honest. Moving on though, we've got Who's Who, and the interesting thing about Who's Who is that he is a Strength Fighter powerhouse, which is the exact same type and class combination as the SugoFest exclusive Who's Who, so we really hope that there isn't a lot of overlap between the two characters and provide competition with each other, because you don't want that. Anyways, as for what this character is capable of doing, he gives your strength allies level 5 attack, level 5 health, and then fighters get level 6 recovery. So to be honest, like, fighters don't really need the recovery that much, so you know, this is probably going to be used more on a fighter focused team. And then his special is a 23 counter, and it targets 3 high attack enemies for defense down 6, speed down 6, half attack for 10 seconds. But then if you have a full team active of 8 teammates, then he gives himself level 2 CT increase. So what this says to me is that you want to have this guy on your front row. You need to have all of your slots filled on your team, and then you want this guy to cycle through his special multiple times per game to apply defense down, speed down, half attack to 3 targets over and over and over again. So the thing is here is that the special CT increase that he receives to himself is actually permanent, which is interesting. So the more you activate the special, the faster you can launch it again. So I guess there is a scenario where it could be good, but you got to think, right, you're probably using this guy on a strength team versus a dex team, and in those scenarios you don't really need this to help you out, to be honest. Like, I'd much rather use a lot more other characters over this guy. So I don't really know what these two units are really here for. I just don't think they really have a role to play in fighter teams, striker teams, or strength teams, to be honest. As for what he can do, he does evade damage over time, which I guess doesn't really matter. There's not too many dex units that really apply that, to be honest. He does have the ability to heal himself in weird scenarios, but yeah, overall, some pretty disappointing Rumble units. And I don't know, Rumble banners, they really are hit or miss, because sometimes they release these broken units for no reason, and then most of the time they'll release these units that don't really have a role to play in a lot of scenarios, and this is one of those times. These units just seem mediocre. And then the final thing to discuss briefly before we wrap up the video is the new turtle farming event. So for those of you who have had a look on Twitter, there is actually full confirmation now that the new game mode, Pirate King Adventures, that was given in the 13.0 update, is going to be taking over the turtle farming events moving forward. So what we do know is that this is likely going to be the final turtle farming event that this game sees, which is, it's sad to see in one aspect, because it is a piece of content that we can play and we will actively get some really good rewards for doing so. But at the same time, I can understand why people don't like these types of events, because sometimes the boosted lists can really be against you, and if you don't have some of those characters, or if you don't have people on your friends list with these new units, then farming these events can be difficult. But the rewards that you get for doing it are pretty insane. So the fact that these game modes, or this game mode specifically, looks to be being removed, I really hope that the rewards that we would be receiving from this game mode are going to be available in the Pirate King Adventures game mode instead. We'll have to wait and see how they kind of translate the rewards between the two game modes. Hopefully it's a one-for-one replacement, or we get some more rewards along the way. We will have to wait and see. But this new Marco character that is actually in this content, from what I've heard, isn't actually that good, so that's a little annoying. So anyways, that is going to wrap it up from me. Thank you so much for watching the video, and if you guys did enjoy it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post on my channel, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.